Hello and welcome to this CNBC Africa Special Report. My name is Mugisha. Today on the show, we're discussing matters investing in Rwanda and what the country has to present to the global business community. What opportunities does Rwanda have in the kitchen cooking up for you? Today on the show, we touch base with us, and remember, you can join us on Twitter at CNBC Africa, my personal handle at Galwero4. That was to join us. All right. Starting off this conversation with the two of you, I understand one of you is an investor and the other one is the investment officer, Chief Investment Officer for Rwanda Development Board. I just want to look at one conversation. Last year, we saw a lot of money coming into the economy, even way ahead of the targeted revenues or investment that we're expecting. What do you think is lowering in investment in the country at this moment, Guy?
Thank you. Thanks for the question. I think the attraction to Rwanda, which you've really seen increasing quite steadily over the last number of years, is really a function of the country's attractiveness, both as a domestic market, but also very much as a hub. Our attractiveness and ease of doing business, where we rank second on the continent, is obviously very compelling to a lot of investors coming in. I think our ability to position ourselves as a hub to the region, a hub to the continent, is also extremely compelling, whether you're looking to attract interest in the company as a proof of concept, or whether you're looking to access, large consumer markets, export from Rwanda. All of those are very viable options and very attractive options for investors to come and set up in Rwanda.
Right. You've set up at least 2 properties, high-end properties in the country, and that includes the Marriott and Century Park. And of course, we're looking forward to the Sheraton in the country. Speak to me more from an investor perspective. Why, of all the markets on the continent, Rwanda?
Well, first of all, it's the political stability, the security, and also, you see, this is a CEO forum that Rwanda is attracting a lot of conferences into the country, and people are surprised that Rwanda is moving, so fast. But I'm not, because I've been here more than 10 years, but I can see the changes. I can see the growth. So I'm not surprised, because many people actually. Recently, I brought some Italian to visit Rwanda, and they were shocked. They've been to different countries in the continent, but when they arrive here, they see things are so clean, so well organized. The roads are so nice, people are so nice, and they actually say, oh, it's also beautiful people also. So there's a lot of things that comes in together to make things work. So that's why Rwanda and the strategic location also. Rwanda is in the heart of Africa. So one of the reasons that I've been able to invite people to come visit, and also giving them an idea of don't look at Rwanda itself, because it can cover the whole of Africa.
Investing in a country is one. Staying in a country is another thing. Speak to me more on the demand for high-end property. As a developer, are you seeing this in Rwanda?
Yes. I think every country, every market, there's different demand from different level of people. There's always demand for high-end, middle class, low class, affordable, right. So everywhere has that high-end market.
And Guy, coming back to you, of course, what is the Rwandan government currently doing in terms of diversifying the economy, of course, to sit in well with the current business climate in the world?
No, absolutely. And we've attempted to drive a pretty fundamental structural shift in the composition of the economy to try to shift away to some degree from the reliance on agriculture. So if you look, for instance, about 10, 12 years ago, the agricultural sector constituted about 40% of the country's GDP. Today that's down to 28%, whereas services and manufacturing industry really make up 62% today. And so that diversification is happening, and it's happening while the economy's grown 5 times in the same period of time. And so we've taken a very hands-on approach to drive very specific focus sectors, such as manufacturing, such as construction, such as the energy and infrastructure sectors. Services and ICT, of course, are a big focus. And so we've developed a number of projects at various stages, greenfield, brownfield. Some of those assets are privatization opportunities out of government. So really a wide range of opportunities and a wide range of projects. And we also work closely with the private sector here in Rwanda to help that lead the growth of the country. That's really the focus in terms of the continuation and the sustainability of the growth that we've seen. Rwanda's grown 7.5% consistently the last 10 years, grew 8.6% last year, 2018, and we are very much committed to having the private sector be the leader of that growth.
He spoke about something very interesting there about seeing the Africa CEO Forum coming in, all the events that are in the country, and of course understanding that the country hit a $75 million in just about 7 months, way ahead of the targets that are set for the mice industry. I just want to get it from you. What is being done right now as the government or as the country to actually see that we can not only just have even more events coming into the country, but also putting Rwanda as a brand out there, even with more visibility on it? What is being done to see that that is a possibility?
I think we're very fortunate in that the narrative is strong. I think, thankfully, the word is out, should I say, and the recognition of Rwanda just seems to grow and grow. And so I think
what we have out, is it enough at the moment?
I think it's generating a tremendous amount of momentum.
Right.
It's never enough, is the honest answer. We can always do more. I think through investments that we've made in the convention center, investments we've made in the MICE sector, whether it's hospitality or other types of events or entertainment. We've invested heavily in the airline, which obviously drives a lot of connectivity. And then as we attract more investment, quite frankly, it begets more investment. And so what tends to happen is, as companies come in, as investors come in, and I think as Billy said, people come and are exposed to Rwanda in forums similar to the CEO Forum, there's a recognition. And that word spreads, and we attract more investment, and that then continues to drive the momentum. So I think in many ways it's to continue to do what we're doing. I think it's to intensify our efforts in many ways. We're constantly increasing our efforts to outreach into other countries, whether it's conferences, events, whether it's forums, to give a voice to Rwanda and give a presence to Rwanda. And it's also to some degree some unique types of transactions like the Arsenal deal, which really elevated a lot of the visibility for the country, given the number of spectators at those kinds of events. And we've already started to see that kind of impact on our tourism sector.
Billy, coming back to you, of course, we understand that the country has an investor code that is revised, rather, not advised, at least twice after every 2 years, right? And once speaking to the CEO of RDB, she mentioned something about predictability, being able to predict where the country is heading in the foreseeable future and how the businesses are currently performing in the country. Speak to me, do you think there is something that could be done differently about what is currently being done, or are you contented with what is happening?
Well, predictability, let me tell you, it's a lot better than what I predicted when I first start planning my first project, Marriott, here. Many people say, are you normal? Put up such big investment in a small, tiny country. But that time, we had a few meetings with the government official. We started with the Minister of Finance, and then with RDB people, and also the mayor of Kigali city. They told me their plan, and I believe in it, and I took the risk. And that time was really, many people were saying, but when I also think back, and it wasn't much at that time. Kigali was very quiet, no traffic jam. But when I saw the plan of this beautiful conference center, and I saw all the government officials here, they're really trying hard to push things to happen. And I'm really amazed in the last 10 years that I've been working with RDB very closely, and you wouldn't believe the coordination and the support that they give is really amazing.
I just want to quickly run into this conversation again. How do you see the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that was signed here a year ago contributing to that target that Rwanda has? Of course, again, looking at how many events have already been hosted in the country and those that are already booked, how do you find that having an effect on an industry that you're currently running in, the hotel space, but also how many doors does this open opportunities for the country and also for investment?
I think that is a very, very extremely good opportunity for Rwanda, being in the heart of Africa. That's why I'm partnering with an Italian company that are setting up a factory here. That's what they're looking at. They're not looking at Rwanda alone, because they're looking at the strategic location and also the stability of the countries. So it's like once this free trade agreement start working, Rwanda will really have something that many other countries don't have.
Guy, there is something that has been going on, people asking questions, analysts all going on about, there is one thing as opening up borders and enabling trade to happen. But then what do we have to offer? What are we putting on the market if we open up and then we become a flooding zone for products from all outside the other countries as a small market that hasn't produced so much to, be able to satisfy our own? As an investment officer from the Rwanda's Development Board, are we doing something to protect our own industries? And are we doing something to see that even those that would rather transport their products to the country would rather make them from here?
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's efforts that we do to capture the domestic market, to recapture what we import today. I don't think it's a secret that today we import more than we'd like to, and that we'd really much rather be producing a lot more domestically. And so fundamentally, for us, it presents a great opportunity. A lot of the constraints around manufacturing that we faced in the past, where we focused on particular value chains, have stemmed around input costs or stemmed around logistics costs. And all of those would presumably be improved under open borders. And so in terms of free flow of capital, free flow of goods, then it becomes about competition, and it becomes about our positioning relative to other markets. And for us, I think the real advantage is where the country's invested the most, and that's in people. And the real advantage for us is on the human capital side. And so as we talk about higher value addition, we talk about manufacturing here, we talk about service-based economy here, or knowledge-based economy. Those are all about human capital. They're all about value addition. They're all about innovation. And that's why you've seen the country make such large investments in those sectors, large investments in tertiary education, large investments in attracting educational institutions to be based in Rwanda and set up Pan-African hubs, because really talent is going to be fluid. And our contribution is going to very much be dictated by our innovation and our contributions to that, not by putting up walls and constraining borders. And we feel that we're making investments in the right places. There's obviously a lot more work to do. There's a lot more investment to be made. And we look forward to that challenge and to that growth. But we're trying really hard to position the country ahead and thinking of where we're headed, not catching up with something in the past.
Currently, we also know that Rwanda has a plan to become the region's ICT hub and has done tremendous investment in that area. But when should we expect to see this paying back?
I think it's starting to pay back. We've made large investments in the enabling environment, both in terms of fiber, coverage, as I noted, education, human capital. I think it's starting to pay back in that it's attracting investment. We see a very strong value proposition, a very strong competitive advantage when engaging companies who want to come and set up here, and they're looking for higher value add, they're looking for quality people, and we already are relying and starting to reap the benefits of that. I think today when you look at the ICT sector in and of itself, it constitutes 4 or 5% of the economy, but it's growing at about 11% a year. And so that growth rate is going to really drive the sector and is going to accelerate. It'll become an increasingly large part of the economy, and ICT is also an enabler of other sectors. And so for us, it's not just about the ICT sector, it's about the kind of leapfrogging that you can bring to sectors such as healthcare and agriculture and energy as a result of having a strong ICT sector.
Right. Billy, let me bring you back into this conversation, and this time I want to look at, of course, the investment in the hotel space. To what rate are we seeing interest in Rwanda, in investing in Rwanda's hotel space? Are we seeing investors from all across the world at this time trying to have a piece of the share here?
Not at this time. Actually, after, during the time that when Marriott opened this Radisson, this convention center, and there's also quite a number of medium, small hotel opening around the same time. Actually, for a while, some people were actually saying that there's too many hotel rooms in Kigali now. Shall not build anymore because it will be like too many. But just like a year or two, as this conference, the number of conference come up, and then the hotels are full again. So there will be room for hotel, but it can be wait a little bit. So it's not a lot of interest now coming into Rwanda now.
With the growing, of course, tourism industry and the events that we're seeing coming up, at least right now, if you look at maybe we have at least 13,000 hotel and motel rooms in the country. Wouldn't you say that it's about time that the appetite has actually gone up and would be the right time to invest in the country's hotel space?
Actually, to act on to what I said just now, I meant business hotel.
Right.
But this resort, that a good one, that is really highly needed, because just 2 days ago I took my Italian partner to Lake Mugisha, for lunch, and they love it. They said, "Wow, it's nice, fantastic, nice weather, beautiful green water." But then we went to a hotel and they sort of check out the rooms, that thinking that, next time when they come back, they might want to spend a night. But then it was not very good. It was kind of old, and I think Rwanda really need to create more hotel facilities like this by the lake or by the mountain gorilla. We need to create more attraction for tourists, so that when they come to Rwanda, they don't only come for conference, then go back. They shall stay another few days, but we have to provide good facilities or accommodation. So I think in that area, plenty of room.
What could you say to that, Guy?
That there's good news coming.
Can we get some of that good news?
Well, I can. I think Billy touches on a very important point, which is we've done a lot of work to promote the MICE industry, which is largely what you see in terms of focused on events in Kigali. We are trying to spread some of that MICE business out into a few of the secondary cities, but fundamentally all the visitors that are being attracted. So, a few years ago, we used to have a few events a month. Now we have an average of 3 events a week. And that volume is probably a lot of what you're seeing at the hotels. A good part of the strategy is to try to leverage that into increased business, increased leisure tourism. So to actually have people who not only come for MICE, but also stay and maybe spend a couple of nights out in the countryside, up country, in other parts that are beautiful. Rwanda is a beautiful country. It's easy to get around. It's extremely safe. And so attracting some of that into tourism is a key part of the strategy. Of course, we've talked about driving tourism in general, trying to drive the number of visitors. And so we have, in fact, gone out and worked to engage other investors to invest in that circuit, of tourism that allows people to go and spend an increased number of nights here in Kigali and increased number of nights out in the countryside and seeing the beautiful national parks, seeing the big 5 that we have in Akagera, seeing the gorillas up in Virunga, of course down in Nyungwe, there's a lot to see as well. And so there's really beautiful parts of the country around Lake Kivu. We've talked about what we call the Kivu Belt, which is really a perfect area of development along the lake, I think part of what you're referring to. And so we've seen an increased level of interest in that, and hopefully, I think if we're successful, which hopefully we are, then we'll start to see quite a bit of development in those areas. But we are seeing a lot of interest because of people recognizing that there is in fact potential in those areas. And secondarily, I should add, to the extent domestic investors are able to also invest or upgrade, that would also be fantastic. Many of them are established operators who know the market well, and we would also encourage that kind of upgrading and development.
I think that responds to you, Billy. Guy, I have about 2 minutes to wrap this conversation, so I want to look into some of the other opportunities that Rwanda is currently presenting, and that, of course, out of the tourism and the manufacturing sector that we're currently looking at. What else does Rwanda have right now to present to the world?
A lot. We have about 30 projects across 8 or 10 sectors. So that's a very quick summary of a range of projects. We have them at various stages of development. Some are greenfield, some are brown. They range in size from $5 million all the way up to a flagship project, Kigali Innovation City, which we valued at about $400 million. Obviously a very sizable project that builds on Rwanda's positioning as an innovation hub. It really is a large real estate project, but it's a lot more than that. It really feeds into a much larger innovation ecosystem that also touches on educational institutions, research and development centers. We've got some pharmaceutical manufacturers. Really a flagship project for us, all the way down through commercial agriculture projects. We've got a sizable one at north of $100 million that's really quite ripe for investment. We've got horticulture projects ranging from 10 million to 50 million across a range of different products, both in terms of aggregation, commercialization, export, and then in ICT, we've also got a number of other projects in addition to KIC. We've also got the Innovation Fund, which we've anchored as government to allow us to really help develop SMEs within the ICT sector with innovative capital. And really the list goes on. There's opportunities in mining in certain areas. We've got 5 or 6 opportunities there. On the infrastructure side with water, roads, there really is a very wide range. There's something for everyone, and we're very happy to share those opportunities and really engage with any investor who wants to come and look at Rwanda.
Right. Thank you very much for putting time to speak to us today. Thank you again for speaking to us. Billy, allow us to leave it here for this conversation.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for joining CNBC Africa today for this edition of our CNBC Africa Special Report, as we were looking at some of the investment opportunities that are currently in the country and those that are yet to be opened for the local but also international investors. Joining us today was, of course, Guy Barron, the Chief Investment Officer at the Rwanda Development Board, and of course, speaking to us was Tung of Century Investments, owners of Marriott, Sheraton, and the Century Park in Kigali. Remember, you can join us on Twitter. That's at CNBC Africa. My personal handle at Garo4. For more of this, please join us on our website, www.cnbcafrica.com. From myself and the team here in Kigali, it's bye for now.